Howdy! Welcome to Aspire Mountain Academy. I'm Professor Curtis, your instructor for this course in Introductory Statistics. In less than 10 minutes, this video shows how to make and use frequency polygons. Let's get started. Okay, frequency polygons are essentially histograms, but with lines instead of bars. So the lines are connecting what would be the tops of the bars if they were there. We've got two examples to look at here. In the first example, we've got weight versus the number of people. So we've got different bars here if we were making a histogram for the different weight classes, and then we just take the midpoints of the tops of each of those bars and we connect the dots with the line that you see here. And this line that connects the dots is our frequency polygon. Okay. Now you can make a relative frequency polygon that uses relative frequency or percentages instead of counts. And just as we've seen with other types of graphs, you'll get the same basic shape with your graph. It doesn't affect the shape of the underlying distribution. Okay. Here we see the second example. We have frequency counts of test scores. So how many people scored a particular test score in a given test? Well, again, that's what we're doing. We're just basically connecting the dots made from the midpoints of the tops of the bars of a histogram. Now, keep in mind that these marker labels that you see here at the bottom, okay, this is what you normally would see for a frequency polygon. These are not the labels. Well, they are labels, but they're not like telling you, say, for example, 10 students, say here, 10 students got a 64.5 on their test. That's not what this graph is telling you, because, see, these numbers here come from the midpoints of the tops of the bars that would be there if you were making a histogram. So what this is really saying here is that 10 students scored between 60 and 69 on their test. Or in other words, 10 students got a D. Because see, 64.5 is the midpoint between 60 and 69. Now, one more item to keep in mind. Notice here we have a beginning and ending point at 0 frequency. This is a conventional practice with frequency polygons. So keep this in mind when you make frequency polygons for your MyMathLab assignments. The quote-unquote correct frequency polygon will likely follow this convention. Now, you can make frequency polygons in StatCrunch, but it is a little involved. So let's watch a short demonstration of how to do that for the heights of elected U.S. presidents using the POTUS data file in our StatCrunch group. Okay, we're here in the POTUS data file, and we're going to make a frequency polygon out of the heights of elected U.S. presidents. This is a little bit of a, what I would call a convoluted process. It's not as straightforward as many of the other graphs that we've made up to this point. So pay attention, because there's a few details that you need to have in the proper sequence in order for this to turn out the way it should. First, what we need to do is we need to actually make a summary table here in the worksheet, because in order to get the frequency polygon out, you have to have the summary table. It's just the way StatCrunch is set up. So the first thing we have to do is get that summary table. And the easiest way to do that is to just make a histogram with the counts for the frequencies of each of the columns at the tops of the bars. So that's what I'm going to do. Go to graph, histogram. Here's the height data that I want to look at. And then I want to make sure I select this value above bar. Go ahead and hit compute. And here's my histogram. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and use these two next columns to make my frequency distribution table. So here I'm going to call this height categories. I'm going to call this frequency. Okay, remember with the frequency polygon, the convention is to have the first and the last point to be 0. So I'm going to go one category out from what's being shown here on this histogram. So each of these bars looks like there's a bin width of 5, because this is 160, this is 170, so halfway in between must be 165. So this bin right out here that's not being shown must be 155 to 159, and 160 to 164. Remember, this 160 means that the 160 belongs to this column here to the right of the 160. 65 to 169, 170 to 174, 175 to 179, 180 to 184, 185 to 189, 190 to 194. And then we have the one not being shown, 195 to 199. So this first column here, 155 to 159, is not shown because there's nothing there. So we'll put 0 in for the frequency. And then I just read the tops of the bars here. So 1, 2, then the next one here is 8, then 6, 11, 8, 2, and then 0 for the last one that's not being shown here. Okay, so now I've got my frequency distribution table. Now I'm ready to make my frequency polygon. To do that, I go to Graph, Chart, Columns. I'm going to select the column that I want to select is the frequency. The row labels are the categories. And plot, I want to plot the points with connected lines. Okay, that should do it for me. And lo and behold, it does. There's my frequency polygon. Notice how it has the same basic pattern if you were to connect the dots in the tops of your histogram. So there it is. I know it's a little convoluted, but I hope that helps. Okay, as you can see, the process is a little involved, and I couldn't summarize it all on one screen here for you, so I put it in two parts. If you prefer this guide to the video we just saw, you can pause the video here. Use this guide to help you construct your frequency polygon. So here's the first part. And here is the second part of the summary. And that brings us to the end of this mini lecture. I hope you found it helpful. You can find more mini lectures for this and other courses at AspireMountainAcademy.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.